Hello and welcome to a Tabletop Bellhop cardboard coat check. I am Mo Tuzano, the Tabletop Bellhop, your cardboard concierge, working with you to make your game nights better. Now today what I'd like to do is let you know about a brand new game coming soon, well relatively soon, from Martin Wallace, Wallace Designs, and Ian Livingston and Steve Jackson. Now if you haven't already seen it on the screen, you probably know those names. This is a prototype copy of Fighting Fantasy Adventures, the latest Martin Wallace game that is based on the fighting fantasy novels that many of us old school gamers grew up with, and which way books that had adventures and dice. So this is a new narrative campaign style game from Martin Wallace set in the worlds of the fighting fantasy novels, actually done with Ian Livingston and Steve Jackson. Now this is a prototype copy. This is not a full complete game. There's a prototype box, everything's subject to change, and from what I understand, they sent me one reviewer-specific adventure that's in here. So when we do sit down to play it, we'll get to experience the game without spoiling anything. So first off, thanks Wallace Designs for sending this prototype for us to check out. But now I want to see what's in the box and see what we get in here. So here we have my copy. There was no shrink wrap. It just came like this in a cardboard box with some bubble wrap in that. And we're going to open this up. And again, remember, this is a prototype. This is not the retail version of this game. And it does not have everything. So we have a bunch of paper used to take up space. We'll ditch all the paper. Then it looks like we have a bunch of tuck boxes that are oddly attached. There we go. So we have a bunch of tuck boxes. We'll put those to the side right now. Ooh, this one's heavy. More tuck boxes, more tuck boxes. We have a board. You can kind of see there that's showing off. It says +2, -1, and first, second, third, fourth, +1, +2, +3. This might be some type of combat grid. No, I have not played this nor read the rules. You're getting to see this at the first time, same time I am here. We have the prototype rule book, or instruction booklet, with the Fighting Fantasy logo on the bottom, or in the back, sorry, back of the book. Let's take a quick flip through this. Nice full color book here. I feel like I'm missing a page. Yes, that says 2. How am I? Where is page 1? Okay, there is no page 1. So it's a thick cover. It starts with 2, which is probably just their numbering. The cover is still numbered 1. Shows the various components here. So there's going to be cards. There's going to be ability cards, hero pieces, 6-sided dice, a number of counters, some monsters, gold, and potion markers, dungeon cards. And I was right, this is tactical board, so that's going to be for combat. Tells you how to start it. Now again, this is an intro. And let's see what it says here. It says, welcome to the land of a dangerous place. Final Fantasy are based on the books of the same name. 1 to 4 players. You're going to control 1 or more heroes. On the way, you'll encounter monsters, traps, and challenges. Pretty much what you expect from any fantasy game. I was looking to see if it had anything about this reviewer copy. So it's got how to play, how to fight, because of course you're going to fight. Ganging up on monsters, luck, stamina, retreating, moving around the dungeon, splitting up using ability cards, and that's it, winning the game. So simple, looks very simple, straightforward. Dungeon crawling board game set in Final Fantasy. Fighting fantasy. So we're going to put this stuff off to the side, and we're going to check out what's in all these deck boxes. All right, so we have a hero card here. So we have the warrior, and then a bunch of level 1 abilities. Yeah, so they have Mighty Blow, Shield, Improved Reaction. And then they have level 2 Shield, level 2 Improved Reaction, level 2 Mighty Build, level 3, and level 4. So we have a healer, and it looks like there's 3 stats on this card. So what we're going to do is do the close-up over here. So you can see the warrior's card here that has the 2 stats on it as well. There are 3 stats. Has 9 shield, 9 health, and 7 luck, I would guess. And then here's an example of one of the level 1 cards. Not a ton of artwork on the card, I will say. I don't know. Again, this is a prototype. That may change. And then shield. And then improved reactions. And so on. I'm not going to go through every single card, but I will show off there are other heroes here. Let's neaten things up just a little bit. So we also have a healer with their level 1 through 4. Kind of show off the artwork's really nice. I appreciate that. Looks like the old Final Fantasy artwork. I like that. We have the mage, which may not show up well because it's blue. And I am using a blue screen to do this. So yeah, I apologize for slightly see-through mage. And we have a scout. And again, each one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that go with them. So there's our 4 heroes. Oh, and on the back, they just say hero. I'm going to put the hero card in front here. All right, what do we have in here? This one's almost empty. There's not much in here. Not much in here at all. Oh, the counters. So these are the hero counters. So these are square, probably to fit on the combat grid. So we have counters for each of the different heroes, which again, I'll bring them over here with the bust of the character, the head of the characters on there. This would be the scout's token. And then we have monster tokens that are just like labeled A, B, C, D. So I'll kind of hold those up. So here's the generic monster tokens. So no specific artwork for the monsters, but generic tokens to represent whatever you happen to be facing. They are two-sided with numbers on one. No, A on both sides? Yeah, A on both sides on that. So we're going to put those counters over here. We'll stack the hero counters because I kind of want to see everything you get in here laid out. So I'm going to keep spreading things out on my table here as we go. So we've got that. Next one. This sounds like we might have some like wooden bits and stuff here. So let's toss this off to the side. Oh, this is the dice. Parry position marker. This is the parry position marker, which unfortunately is getting slightly see-through. It's not actually see-through. The parry position marker, which is a black cylinder. And here again are the dice. You have black and white dice. And we have 1 box left. Now, again, remember, this is a prototype of Martin Wallace's latest game, Fighting Fantasy Adventures, done with the awesome group of Ian Livingston and Steve Jackson. And what we have in this final box are just a ton of cards, which I knew that had to be coming at some point. So these are the dungeon cards that have a symbol on it. So I have a feeling in later sets, you will see dungeon cards with other symbols other than this one. And they look like dungeons. So, sorry, I had to do this over the camera. So we have a whole bunch of these dungeon cards. We'll kind of put some of these over here, and you can kind of see how you would build the dungeon as you were playing with the various exits and entrances. And then we're going to have this one. Oh, this will go, I don't know if you can line them up this way, but some have monsters in them and so on. So we have a huge stack of dungeon cards, some which have monsters in them and not, like you can kind of see. And from my understanding, this might even just be like 1 adventure's worth of dungeons. And of course, the Final Fighting Fantasy books are based on fantasy dungeon crawls. Now here's a little closer shot of one of the cards with one of the bad guys. You can see its stats in the bottom and a number in the top corner. All right, keeping Mike in position is difficult because I'm kind of reaching over it. So yeah, here's all the cards in the first deck, which again, I'm kind of trying to show everything we have here. Those are the dungeon cards. And then these are the encounter cards, which is just a ton of text, and they're numbered in order. So I have to assume here that number 3, you would probably find card number 3 and read it. Now, I don't want to spoil anything. So I am just going to show off card number 1. I'm not going to read it off. Again, I got white on bright here. So here's encounter card number 1. And again, it matches. You've got that symbol in the corner. So this is 1 adventure's worth of Fighting Fantasy Adventures. The latest Martin Wallace from Wallace Designs game, Steve Jackson, Ian Livingston's Fighting Fantasy. What you need for 1 short adventure, whereas the final product should have, I think it's like 5 on them. So it says Series 1 is going to have Warlock of Firetop Mountain, Island of the Lizard King, Death Trap Dungeon, and Forest of Doom Part 1 and 2. This is 1 encounter, which from what I understand is not any of those. So I'm not actually spoiling anything that's going to come in the base game. So there you have it. Everything we got in our prototype copy of Fighting Fantasy Adventures. Now I'm going to put this stuff back into the tuck boxes in some logical formation here and wrap things up. All right, there you have it. What I got in the box in the prototype copy of Fighting Fantasy Adventures. I've said it a million times already, but this is a brand new game coming in 2024. Featuring the Fighting Fantasy novels of Steve Jackson, Ian Livingston, game created by Martin Wallace, card-driven fantasy dungeon crawler set in the universe of the Final Fantasy novels. Fighting fantasy. Man, fighting fantasy novels. I know it's fighting fantasy. Saying it wants to slip out as final fantasy. So I have a feeling once this video goes live, Sean will have a counter down here on how many times I call it the wrong thing or something like that. Really looking forward to checking this out. This looks like a really neat game. I love Martin Wallace. Here's my shame. I didn't play a lot of fighting fantasy novels. I preferred Way of the Tiger and some of the other ones that were out, but I do know of them. I did play Warlock of Firetop Mountain, so I do have some background in this. Really looking forward to checking this out. When I do, I will be sharing my thoughts on social media as Tabletop Bellhop, one word, pretty much everywhere, and on our blog, tabletopbellhop.com, and on the Tabletop Bellhop Gaming Podcast, which you can find on your podcatcher of choice. If you happen to be someone who enjoys watching live streaming, we do stream our recordings of that podcast Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, twitch.tv/tabletopbellhop. Thank you for joining me for this unboxing of Fighting Fantasy Adventures.